Okay, you are good to go.
Right, I'm Jerry Matczak. This is the Indianapolis Quantified Self Meetup on June 7th, and I'm happy to talk a little bit about my experience with the Fitbit, but more emphasis on the basis, which is really the focus of this conversation. So I don't know how many people have seen the basis. You can see it in a couple different forms. This is my completely biffed basis that got broken, and this is probably one of the things I least like about the basis. It's a new product. It's kind of, they're taking pretty seriously minimal viable product approach, and viable is somewhat subjective, I would say. So I'll pass this around, and then this is the brand new one that I just got the other day, which addresses some of the problems with this one. What had happened with the one that was broken was that kind of clips into the actual device, and that clip broke at some point, and a guy I work with, Andy, gave me some awesome glue. I glued it back together, and it was wonderful. But then this little clip broke, and I got a replacement band, but I couldn't get the super glue out of this, and in my process I ended up cracking this thing altogether. So if anyone really wants to dig into this at like a sensor level, and I'll give it to you.
Oh, I'll open it up.
So that's a broken one?
Did the warranty cover that, or did you have to buy a new one?
Well,
once he glued it, the warranty was
that's the
void.
issue. So part of what was good is when the band broke, they sent me a new band for free. Cool. But then because I had biffed the band by super gluing it and dug it out, and I'm going to send them an email letting them know what happened because I bought this one to replace it. And this is the newest one, and I think it's a lot sturdier and the band is a lot nicer.
I'm on another, I cracked my Fitbit lip. Does anyone else crack that little thing at the end of theirs?
I think I might have.
Mine
no, I
keep,
haven't done it
it's
yet.
like my third one, I have to keep emailing them and sending a photo.
What I've really destroyed is that bracelet that you wear at night.
Oh, I don't even, yeah, I figured that thing won't last as long.
And let me get around the charger, which is this unique weird device.
I love the glue on your shirt.
Hey, the glue was wonderful until I didn't need the glue anymore.
Dig in there. Definitely a DIY disaster.
So what is this basis thing? So it was founded in 2011. They started taking pre-orders in 2012. They started to broadly ship in 2013. And this was a painful process as well. I had heard about the basis at a conference in DC, a Health Data Palooza, in May, and I originally tried to buy one, and it said it would notify me when they were available to ship, and they never did. I ended up, through work, knowing that they were shipping, and ended up getting one in November. So they sold to Intel in March for about $100 million. They run about $200, so not cheap for these things. Do a quick little video that'll give you an overview of it.
Hi, I'm Chris Berklates, Vice President of Devices at Basis. I'm here today to introduce Body IQ by Basis, the most advanced way to automatically detect your activities and your sleep and give you credit for all your activities. Body IQ leverages Basis's unique multi-sensor system to automatically detect and display the times when you're walking, running, or biking, and give you credit for the calories burned during those activities. It also powers Basis's unique way of automatically detecting when you fall asleep and when you wake up without the need for any manual mode setting. It starts at the band, where Body IQ offers real-time recognition for walking, running, or biking right at your wrist. Just get moving, you'll start getting credit right on your band. It's like an automatic stopwatch, no manual start or stop required. Once you're finished with an activity, you get daily cumulative totals for calories burned and duration for each type of activity. Get real-time feedback about how your morning bike commute or walk at lunch can help you hit your daily activity or caloric burn goals. You'll also find each of these in the Insights section of your online dashboard and iOS and Android app. As you see here, I automatically get credit for my walk, bike, and run, including duration and caloric burn, as well as my sleep. Only Basis automatically tracks all of these activities. You can see how walking, running, and biking fit into your plan for the day or the week. Body IQ enables you to explore the physiological impact of each of these activities in the detailed data view section of your online dashboard. In the details section, you can see your heart rate, calories burned, and exertion levels from perspiration or skin temperature for that morning run or walk. This is a level of fidelity you won't find with any other health tracking device. We also created 2 new habits, Run Club and Let's Ride, to track your biking and your runs and to keep you motivated. We recommend starting with a daily goal, like 20 minutes of running. Basis will automatically increase your weekly targets to keep you motivated and to improve your fitness. Body IQ, the most advanced way to recognize activity, sleep, and caloric burn. Visit mybasis.com to learn more.
All right, so there's the marketing pitch, and it
I'm
does
sold.
those things, right?
I'm sold.
We'll go into a little deeper into it because I think there are some things that it does very well and some things that it doesn't do so well. I think it holds a lot of promise. So how do it know what it's doing? So I think what is unique is it's measuring biology and motion. So it's measuring your heart rate. It does an optical sensor on your wrist and it tells you what your heart rate is. Fairly, again, consistently, I can't vouch for accuracy. It measures your skin temperature to the 10th of a degree. It measures your perspiration and calculates that from galvanic skin response. And it seems to have a pretty good 3D accelerator. So it's correlating all these sensors to give you, I think, a more robust picture of things like calories burned and how much exertion and all that sort of stuff, which is pretty cool. It has this behavioral approach around habits. And I have to say this isn't my favorite thing. So you have a number of different habits that it defaults you to. Wear it habits, step it up habit, move it are examples. Afternoon lap, those are great. And you kind of unlock them based on how you gather points. And you gather points by meeting your goals, right? These little green things mean, oh, you've met your goal for the day. And if you've done, I think, 5 of these in a week, it gives you a booster 5 times that. I find this not super compelling because the score itself isn't the cool part to me. The cool part about it is the data. I do think it might be kind of interesting if you could define your own habits. And they have all the data so that you could do this. It'd be nice to be able to say, hey, I want to be able to take a walk between 6 and 7 a.m. or I want to raise my heart rate 4 times a week to my target heart rate. It calculates based on it. It should be able to do that calculation. And right now, it's a little bit, it's a little constrained in that way, but I find it pretty fascinating that it has this data such that it can do it.
Does it allow you to compete against other users?
It does not. That's one of its limits. It doesn't have a social aspect like Fitbit. It's one of the things I've come to really love about the Fitbit. But Basis does not have that yet. They have kind of a stub for it.
So you think they're going to make more progress in the future?
I think they are, but in some things they seem to be making reasonable progress from a speed perspective, and some things I would say they're a little slow on. So, you know, if you go to their main dashboard here, it's moved over. Go to there.
While you're doing that, I will say that I worked on a project. I worked with Jerry, and I worked on a project where we were trying to collect this kind of data and allow users to input it into a kind of a common database. And Basis did not have any kind of export at all. And when I was digging deeper into the forums, you know, asking, they seemed kind of anti-sharing your data. You know, there's kind of a movement of give us our damn data.
Yeah.
And they're like, you know, it's complicated. We don't want to give you the raw data because we want to help you understand your data. So
Well, why can't you do both?
exactly. You know,
Well, I think there's some other reason, because I looked at those forums too, and so people are bashing them pretty heavily, and they should. Where's your API, where's your export? And eventually they're saying, look, we've learned from mistakes in the past about announcing too soon, but this is close to a year now, and they have not yet done it. Now, they've been acquired by Intel, are they working with a Samsung Intel or an Apple Intel, who knows? But it's one of the limitations. There are some hacks. But that's actually one of the biggest drawbacks that I have.
Put
with
together
the
any sort of scraping thing?
Yeah, I think there's some Python scripts or something out there too that you can hack into it. But I haven't done that. Dave Park is going to help me do it someday.
With the Samsung and Apple stuff, they're going to have to do.
They will, or else they're going to. It's one of my conclusions. There's a window of opportunity here, and they're.
It seems like market pressure is going to force them to
It is.
open it.
They will, and they've said they're going to sometime, but it's been like long enough, right? How hard could it be to dump this stuff into CSV, for God's sakes?
Yeah,
Right.
the people who like this sort of thing like to have their
Right.
data.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how raw it is.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
That's right.
You can use that excuse when you're a little company that we don't have the time, it's too complicated. When
Yeah.
you're owned by Intel, you really can't
Yeah.
use that excuse.
Yeah.
So social, this is the limit of their social right now, right? Connect to Facebook, that's pretty
Lame.
limited. Yeah, pretty lame.
What does that do when you connect to Facebook?
I think it just means it's gonna post to Facebook.
Yeah.
I've seen that, I don't think it's anything
Okay.
more than that. I haven't done it because I don't like to post to Facebook a lot. So anyway,
Dangerous.
so we talked about maybe some limitations, but this is what's exceptionally cool about it. The level of detail in the data and the ability to kind of dig into it is really pretty remarkable. And I'll move now to some live data, or to show you the level of interactivity. So this is, let me see if I can make it as big as possible, so it'll be, that's probably not good enough there. Not as good as there yet. All right, so you're able to kind of decide your time period pretty easily. It does measure heart rate, steps, calories, and again, sort of a nice interactive way to do that. Skin temperature, perspiration. And obviously, whether you're sleeping or awake, and when you sort of look at any one of these little sort of points, you get really, really, really granular data, right? This is this epic, if you will, of activity. My average skin temperature is 89.6. My perspiration level is 11.9. Didn't capture my beats per minute there. This one it did, 105 beats per minute. Again, so it's pretty interesting to see this data. What you can't do is see it longitudinally, which is irritating as heck. So in my case, I've ramped up my step activity significantly, and my average heart rate has dropped significantly. And I'd love to be able to look at that over time and say, well, here's when I started the slow carb diet, and here's when I started really aggressively starting to manage my step activity. But it doesn't let you do that again, and you see the data here, and you know it's possible. Right? There's all kind of cool stuff you could do. So the sensing technology is really what is unique to them. And they're still emerging, I think, in the providing the data to people to let them do what's necessary.
The recording isn't so
Yeah.
big.
Although this interface is awful cool. I like it. It's, one day at a time.
How does it do on, when you mentioned part of it already, it seems to be fairly accurate. How does it do on like sleep?
I'll show you the sleep stuff, which I think the sleep stuff is really, really cool.
Now, is the sleep stuff, do you push a button or does it just figure it out?
No, it's seamless, right? So it's
That's
sort of, I've even like dozed off on the couch with my cat, one of those cat sleeps. And like it'll say
We know.
for 3 minutes you were at this level of sleep, and it was either light, REM, or deep.
So you can see a little timeline.
You can see a whole timeline of the night. It gives you this sort of calculated score, which is, again, insightful as you look across various days. But you love to correlate it with stuff right away. I had an extremely stressful day here, or I fell off the eating wagon here, and therefore my sleep was effective. It's hard to correlate it because you can't leverage the data integrated with other stuff.
Now, do they tell you how they're basing that information? I mean,
It's a proprietary thing, so
I mean, they're gathering a lot of bits of data.
They are.
They're
They're
obviously
gathering-
not just using one,
That's
like
correct.
movement. Or,
it is correlated with all the sensors, the biological sensor data and the
Will understands that.
activity data.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's pretty cool.
If you sit and you watch a movie in the afternoon and say it's a relaxing movie,
Yep.
does it show you asleep or?
Oh, well,
you know?
I found that it will tell when I actually doze off. That was sort of the
Okay, but I
example.
mean, you don't get false positives.
Yeah, I have not got false positive.
Oh.
I've got. I
So
was.
it's gotta be combining motion with.
Yeah, it's gotta be doing all
I
of
was
the things together.
I was surprised how accurate it was. I was like, I think it was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., right? And I zoned out for 2.5 minutes, and it came back and it said, oh, you had a.
Well, your
2
skin
minutes.
resistance goes down as you get more relaxed.
Yeah. And it does some smart things. For example, in this case, it says
Here for the
this is
meetup.
Yeah.
Join us.
I hope it's the right one.
Yep, Quantified Self Meetup. Come on in.
So this saw, apparently it saw that I was awoke for a while, and I slept at 3:19 for 3 hours, but it saw there were sort of 2 epics that are near it, and if I want to combine those, I just hit that. And I saw my sleep score was 17 toss-in terms, interruptions,
That is nice. I do
Pretty,
like that.
pretty fascinating to capture the data.
Cool.
My problem with the Fitbit is I have it on me all the time. I forget to push the damn button at night.
Right,
Mhm.
yeah, that was.
So I may
stopped
have
doing
like
that.
1 or 2
Yeah.
days at most.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't think it'd be that hard, but
Mhm.
Do you, can you look at the sleep data overlaid with the, no?
You
So
can't
you
overlay anything.
You can't kind of look at it and
It's-
kind of
and
try to
that's
figure out
probably
what they're,
the most
okay.
frustrating thing about it.
That would be
Um,
annoying.
But it's still cool. You can dig into
Yeah.
this and think, wow, that's, you know, I can,
Yeah, they
you know,
want
I
to
can
keep the
toggle back for
algorithms
the next 4 days.
private.
I slept pretty well then, and this is, I had a nap in the afternoon apparently for about 121 minutes that Saturday. Oh, there's that, you know,
very cool.
it's
I
pretty
see.
cool to be able to, you know, this is not a great sleep night here, 60%. I toss and turn a lot. I'd like to be able to say, I'd like to be able to match this up with something that says why that might have been.
Right.
What's your average sleep score?
It doesn't do an average for me, but it's usually pretty good. I mean, it's in the 80s or 90s, which I think is
Okay.
pretty good. It's not a problem I have.
So it doesn't do any aggregate data either.
Did
Yeah,
you
it'd be
hear that?
interesting to see like if
Yeah.
you could compare what your day is like and then what your sleep is like and the
Yeah.
activity level and if that makes a difference for you.
Exactly. These are the things. So what's nice is you start looking at this, and you want to do these things, right?
Yeah.
You're like, wow, this is cool.
It's
Because I
like
believe
mining the
these,
data.
I trust this sensor. I trust this biology plus movement thing together. But man, I just, I find I've spent hours digging through this, trying to manually do it, and you get some level of satisfaction for it. But I'd love to be able to set up a dashboard or something that lets you just bring it together. And
Yeah.
it's all there. It's just having that
Let's
there.
send them a sternly worded letter from our meetup
That's
group.
right. So the other thing they provide is this insight table, and I will share that this is less cool to me. This is almost, I always think of it as a system log of all the stuff it's been doing, and it sort of summarizes your results for a week, and you made your afternoon lap, and here's the points. Again, the points to me have meant nothing. You made it in Move It, you made it in Don't Be a Sitter, you made it in Wear It, you're having a good week in your afternoon lap, you had this 31 minutes of walk and burned this many calories with this many steps from here to here. So again, I don't spend a lot of time at this level. Some people may.
Does it export raw data so that you
Does
can?
not. It does not today. So they will. They've simply got to. And they claim they will, but again, in their forums, it's been, people are getting kind of ticked off.
The natives are restless.
The natives are restless. They have this activity patterns as well, which,
Go back to the cat.
oh, that's, you probably saw Sid. That cat who's on my screen, yeah. He rules. They have this patterns, which I think is less insightful, just kind of a heat map of all these things. So I'm gonna do it over here where you can see the data a little bit better. I haven't found this particularly, I haven't synced all today yet, but this is a kind of, and you can see a map by calories over days over the course of hours. You can look at your calories or your heart rate. Slow today. So again, for me, I have not found this extremely insightful. I would much rather have the data behind this so that I could create something that is insightful for me. That's what we've been talking about. We've talked about these insights. We've talked a little bit about the sleep, which I do think is really cool. I wish more than anything they had the ability to do even these longitudinal views of things. You know, for me, December 4th, my average heart rate was 83 beats per minute. Now it's down pretty significantly. I mean, this is somewhat inaccurate, but that's significant. I'd like to be able to say, well, I'd like to chart that over time, and I'd like to match that with my average steps, or, you know, if I was, or burn of calories, or if I were tracking manually what I'm eating, how that's happened. I can't believe it's gonna be too much longer before they do this, or they're gonna lose a window of opportunity. Unless Intel could have also bought it for the sensors, and Intel could do something else with it, who knows? Intel claims they're gonna maintain the Fitbit Basis 1 device itself. But we shall see. So, what do I love? Meh and feh on this stuff. I love the sensors part of it. The biology and motion part of it combined, I think, is providing unique data and insight that I find really, really valuable. The activity details that we saw, I love that. Sleep details that we saw, I love that. The interactivity of those views is pretty cool. And I love the fact that it seamlessly will switch modes, right? The notion of you don't have to hit something if you're sleeping. How do it know it knows? And I really, really, really like that. Things that are, to me, there, and I can take them or leave them, this whole habits, behavioral model thing isn't that compelling to me. I'd rather have the raw data and be able to identify the habits that I want to track or measure in some kind of way. I don't think it hurts anything. The look and comfort of it, it's a little bit bulky, it's a watch. They're getting better on their band. I've come kind of used to it. It doesn't bother me. You're allowed to, it's semi-water resistant, or I guess it's water resistant, which means you can shower with it if you choose. I have not gone that route. Just feels weird to do it.
But don't scuba dive with it.
Don't scuba dive with it. You know, don't do any of that. The charge, and I don't know if you want to pass that back around for folks who didn't get a chance to see it. But the charge lasts about 3 days, which isn't super bad. I'd like to see it be better. The device interface itself, both the buttons that you use to see these things and the auto light motion, I think, is a little bit weak. So what happens if it's on your watch and you want to look at your watch, you have to flip it, and it's supposed to be smart enough to light up so you can see it. It seems to work like 3/4 of the time. And of course, the quarter of the time that it doesn't work is really irritating. I like that.
Always looks cool during meetings too.
Yeah, exactly, right. You look like you're OCD. So, the things that they really. What they really need to work on, they really need to work on the craftsmanship of the device. I think it's working. They've improved. This latest one that I just got has metal connectors to the band versus just plastic. It's better. How long it will last, I don't know. The charger itself is kind of awkward. I don't know why they just can't use a mini USB to plug it in and go. You could use multiple but you got to, there have been several times at work I go looking for Quinn and say, Quinn, I'm dying here, and there's a million mini USB things out there, but I don't know any other dongles like that to charge. There is no data export. There is no public API. There is an API, it's not public. They don't have any app or device integration yet. Nothing with an ARIA, nothing with Runkeeper, nothing with Lose It, nothing with any of the ones that we might use. There's no social and there's no longitudinal views. So that, all of that being said, I still really like it. I'm actually pretty pleased with it all told. I understand it's taking a minimal viable product approach. I see the uniqueness of the sensor technology leveraged and correlated the way it is. Sort of capturing biology and capturing motion, and then correlating that to provide useful information. They really got to get going on this API and integration piece. It's a window of opportunity. They're going to lose it, and frankly, I actually wear my Basis and Fitbit all the time, and both of them are past the turnaround test. You guys heard about this turnaround test? It's the notion of hey, if you left these things and you're driving to work, would you turn around and go back and get them?
Oh, okay.
And that was sort of, to some degree, I think, a litmus test for when cell phones, when smartphones became like the thing.
Yeah.
And for me, they're both that. And I've done that. Well, I only live like 7 minutes from work, but I think I would do it anyway. I feel naked without both of those devices.
My problem is because I just carry my Fitbit in my pocket. Sometimes I forget to put it there, and I don't know the whole day that I've done that.
Right.
And I'm like, no, my steps.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you looked at bought the Fitbit website and the Basis and looked to see if the numbers
Yeah,
roughly
so
track?
the numbers don't track exactly, and for whatever reason, this Fitbit gives me more credit for steps than the Basis does. So I love the Fitbit.
How often do you go to the restroom? Because I think if it's in your pocket,
Yeah.
you're pulling your pants down, pulling them back up.
I'm hoping that I'm not creating a statistical significance based on that alone, but I'll
I wonder about that sometimes.
but it is. I find that, for example, over the course of 10,000 steps, roughly, if this reads 10,000, the Basis will read 92. So it's or 93 or 94 or 90,
So it's
depending.
still pretty close.
It's kind of close, but it's still significant. You know, I could.
Sure.
There are days where I get my 10,000 steps here and I feel good, but I didn't get it on. I didn't meet my 10,000 step habit.
Do you think there might be like a conspiracy here to get you to exercise more?
And actually, so that is good, right? So actually, when I'm on the treadmill, it's nice because I have my watch here, and so I'm always looking at that, right? I can see that, and that means I have some assuredness that I'm getting what I need here.
Yeah.
If it were the other way around, I wouldn't have that assurance. So I still like it. For me, I am enjoying the best of two worlds. I'm not sure it's the best of all worlds yet, because I think both of these have some way to go. But the apps and the integration, the API associated with the Basis or with the Fitbit is pretty cool. Right? And you have a lot of control over the type of views you see, and the social element for me has become significant. I'm tracking against people kind of every day. Where am I on the leaderboard? And Tyler's in France, and he's getting 120,000 steps in. That ticks me off, and I better walk a little more, right?
How many people do you have that are your on Fitbit? You actually do? I don't.
Yeah, I have.
I haven't done that yet. So.
The people? Yeah, I've
Yeah,
got
the
Will
people.
and Dave on there.
Never paying attention.
So you do have one person there.
Yeah,
I don't have
occasionally I
any-
guess naturally about you. That's
Being
never
in the
been
lead.
news.
Yeah, so my you know,
Oh, okay.
it's you know,
What is that type? 120. What's that number?
It's
what
the steps.
number of steps in a week.
Oh, I was gonna say
Yeah.
one a day. It's like
No.
Yeah.
count.
No, this dude's on vacation
You
in
know,
France.
he's
Oh.
dead,
Oh,
so.
He's roaming around France. I usually
He's
beat
a
him,
what?
but
He's a runner. You said he was what?
He's in France
Oh, in France.
walking around
A
in
walk
Europe on vacation.
Oh, okay.
So that's
That's a
cheating
week.
as far as I'm concerned.
Wow. So Shelley doesn't move much at all.
Well, she's had surgery and all that kind of stuff, right? So I guess it's
Oh.
a HIPAA violation right there, but yeah.
No, there's no HIPAA
Yeah.
involved in this. So.
Well, there isn't, right? So.
There isn't.
And I periodically keep looking at the Fitbit's nice because I can go and say, well, Kathy, who's Kathy? You know, who's following Kathy? Well, I can see that.
Oh,
Who
you
her
can
friends
see,
are, and
okay.
Oh,
I've never
okay.
done the whole social
I can
thing.
select some of them. So I've liked it. I mean, you run to at least in a work situation, you can run into people in the hall and there's like a wink and a nod. No, get your steps in, or how you doing, or it's been as I've incorporated it into a habit and part of my overall approach to trying to be healthy. It's been an important piece. But originally, I thought it was the stupidest thing in the world.
I'll have to add you to mine, so I have one there. So.
Yeah, I have to look for you too.
Yeah, I'll think just add a few in.
So that plus the the sensors and I'm liking it. So.
Because you know I need to feed everybody. I'm gonna have to quit my job and walk all day.
Well, it's interesting.
Right
So.
now with 2 people you're competing with.
Yeah. So you're seeing institutions start to leverage this stuff. Lifetime Fitness had a Fitbit challenge,
Oh.
right? Where they actually had people at Lifetime Fitness sign up for the challenge, and you're competing against people, USA-wide anyway, around steps and various prizes and rewards that they would offer. So the notion of having that.
It's an incentive to put your Fitbit in a blender.
Yeah. Strap it to the cat, see what happens. Or the dog. That's right. That's right. Throw some catnip and you're good for a while.
They're probably too soft with walkers actually to sit off.
Yeah, probably.
But that's an interesting experiment. There's got to be some pet. There's a pet bit somewhere in the future. I'm sure.
Well, I mean, your mom should be forced to have one for her cat. The poor thing is like probably 20 pounds by now. He looks like he has giant tumors.
Oh.
She's like, hi, he just eats. I'm like, measuring his food.
So that's what I had.
You know,
I'm happy to chat. Any questions, whatever.
Very cool. Well, I'm sold on the basis. How much did you say it was again?
$200. Yeah.
Oh, Christmas list.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd wait, you know, and by Christmas time, Samsung and Apple are both gonna have their watches out.
It's not an outlandish price though for a
Yeah.
QS device.
Right.
No,
It's
right.
not.
Well, I mean,
It's
especially
not.
considering that I don't get as much out of my Fitbit because I forget to press the button. So if I'm gonna have more consistent data that results in improvements in my sleep habits and sleep hygiene, then $200 is absolutely worth it.
Yeah.
More than being put off by the price, I'm a little put off by the reporting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or they wouldn't
But,
have to get
And
the
the
reporting right if they
clunky- it's
integrated
just
with
the
other stuff.
clunkiness of
They
it.
got it right.
Right. So
Yeah.
I think it's got to come. It's got to.
Yeah.
and someone has to say this, it needs to come in multiple colors.
Well, it's starting to, but it's pretty weak. It comes in like white and black. I guess
No.
those
Those
really
are not
multiple
colors. That is
so-
light and absence of light.
Yeah, they need to work on their aesthetics a bit.
Yeah, well,
Have you had, with the bases, have you had any problems syncing it with your computer? I bought one a few weeks ago, and I never get it to sync, so I'm sending it back and getting another one. But
Really?
I'm just curious if it's been flaky or if you've had good results.
I've had good results, but it's so actually I'll do a sync now and show you guys how it works. I don't know if I can.
Good results as long as you remember that it's not wireless.
Yeah. Well, it is wireless. It'll do Bluetooth to my phone, which I guess it's going to be hard to show unless we have one of those dongles where I can throw them.
Yeah.
Out. Okay.
Well, I'll have to work on that.
I'll show
future
you.
videos.
How it's,
Yeah, and I was not doing the wireless, I was trying to do it directly to the PC.
yeah, and it does it to that too. I mean, I can show you that.
Oh, you know, I was just curious if you had problems with it.
I haven't, but here's how it kind of works. Just gonna walk around and do it. Let's see if I.
feel free to pass them around. We don't need to just be the only ones eating.
I think it works over here. Cookies.
I'm gonna try to see if I need to, should be able to do this.
Yeah.
It's cute.
Good. Something this way. Yeah.
I'm so excited about this. I'm also always very impatient, so it's nice that I have like 6 months that I can tear off while I
Yeah.
I'm
wait.
gonna double click this thing, and then it's Bluetoothing to this device, it should connect, and it
Seal it up,
does
put
this
it on the
transfer
fridge
data
for
like
the-
that.
Okay.
I like.
Now, that's a
I
little
think
bit
the one on
clumsy
the
too,
top,
it takes a
I
little
think
longer
applies
than
to
you'd
your
like.
Fitbit, isn't it?
I'll put this thing, and it's gonna transfer it,
Or
then it'll
read the one on the.
upload
right
it,
there.
then it'll process it.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because
Yes.
you're competitive.
Oh, yeah. No, it's
So
perfect.
Jerry, one of the things you were saying about the basis is that it is unique in
Mhm.
that it's sensor loadout.
Yep,
Is that just compared to the Fitbit, or are you comparing it to like the body media
So does it do
devices
that
as well?
automatically with trigger?
Or
it is, so ask your, let me finish this and then I'll come back to your questions. You have to trigger it, you have to hit this thing twice, double click it, and then
How long can you go without syncing?
it's about 4 days and then I'll tell you it's full.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
That's what it seems to me. So your question was
well, I'm just.
on the uniqueness?
You had mentioned about
Yeah.
the uniqueness of the sensor loadout, and obviously the Fitbit style devices don't have like the galvanic response
Yeah,
on that.
yeah.
But like the body media armband
Mhm.
has a galvanic sensor, and do you have any experience there comparatively?
I don't have any comparatively.
Okay.
The reason that I do like it, it is, so it is useful to watch, even that is like real, right? It's just a normal accessory.
Okay.
And to be able to have the sort of the normal accessory and then also be able to do some of that other stuff. And I think, if I remember, I haven't used the band, but I think it's a little less obtrusive as well. I mean, it
Right,
literally
and the armband is kind of this
Yeah,
big,
I mean,
bulky, plastic,
Yeah,
kind of house arrest kind of deal.
right. So this is almost like a seamless passive way of doing it, right? I mean, I really do feel like I'm just wearing a watch. Able at a bit bulky one,
Okay.
but I've got used to that pretty quickly.
Is the website, the user experience a free experience, or is it, do you have to have a membership to access your data?
I'll show you what it is. So it's free to buy something there,
Okay.
but we'll log out. But you'll go quickly into marketing world, right? And there's some videos and things, and let's go back home.
I guess comparing it to what I know about the body media, there's a monthly subscription fee to
Ah.
access your data.
No, all the access to the data through the website is free,
Okay.
right? There's no charge. You do have to, you'll
That'd be a pretty hard sell.
yeah.
Yeah.
You pair Bluetooth here. You plug in here.
Right.
Go to the export, and you have
and
to pay us.
When you charge,
That's why
it'll do
you
a
can't
sync.
export.
Yeah, that's right.
I sometimes get weird errors, but it seems to always pass through when I do the sync through the.
Oh, okay.
Almost anyone that has these web things, they will eventually offer up a premium service because investors will say, we need more revenue, and
And Fitbit has something like that. We
They
haven't
do.
found that it was really worth it for
It
us.
didn't look like there was anything that,
nothing that valuable, yeah.
So I'm kind of interested to see what Intel does with it, because I think Intel was part of the original group that funded them initially, before they were bought. So Intel's been in this for a while, and I was struck by how quickly after they began doing general shipping last November, that Intel bought them in March this year. So that's what, 5 months after they really started shipping this thing. So Intel has some plan in mind for it. And I wonder if it's not about the sensor technologies. You read up on these dudes who founded the company, they've been working on these the sensor activity and how you can correlate that information and present it. They've been looking at that for like a decade. And I think maybe Intel thinks there's something to it. It probably knows that there are these platform plays being made around health. And I think this device is the first look into what these sensors will do.
Is that part of the reason that they don't want to show the raw data, you think? Is
It's
to protect
possible.
that
Yeah.
proprietary math behind presenting,
Yeah, except you'd think if the sensors are the power and the information is the power, right? You can't get that without these sensors. Unless they're thinking somehow people could reverse engineer it by looking at the data. That seems like a bit of a stretch. But you'd think they'd want the data to be shown, because if the data is so cool and these sensors are so cool, many people will buy if they can integrate them with all these other things. I also wonder if there aren't some patent spaces in here that are interesting, because the habit thing is just a little weird, and I wonder if they couldn't directly just do what Fitbit or some of these others did, based on sort of patented ways of looking at data. I don't know if that's the case or not, but I speculate about it, because the habit part seems kind of forced and awkward to me, versus just give me the data and let me see it in multiple ways. I think that keeps them unique in the space, but I'm not sure it hasn't been super valuable to me.
Cool.
Interesting.
Thank you, Jerry.
It seemed like months ago, and I'd read an article about it, and I was pretty interested in it, so I wanted to buy it, it wasn't available or whatever, and so I signed up to be on their list to get invited to buy it when it became available. And it seemed like it was very limited availability, and then just yesterday, since the one I bought from Amazon didn't work, I bought one at Best Buy. They actually had it in stock, so it seems like maybe they're ramping up the availability, and maybe like the engineering behind the API or whatever is, it's just going to take some time.
Yeah, I speculate the same thing. I think they got beat up pretty bad, because I did what you did about sort of wanting to pre-order one, and I did that in, I think it was May of last year. And they never even notified me when it was shipping. And here it was like November before they started shipping. That's too long. I mean, if you're going to tell people that you have this thing, and you're advertising it, and you're making a buzz about it, if it's a month or two, I can live with that. But if it's 5, 6, 7 months, and I think they hint at learning from past experience when they talk about their data export and API. And I wonder if it's not that. However, but at the same time, I mean, simple CSV dump or any kind of dump, you don't need a sophisticated, how sophisticated do you need of an API to do that? Not very. So, yeah, it's hard to know whether it's about capability and delivery, or whether it's about strategically around how they're positioning the sensors in the device and now Intel's suite of products. And it's frustrating not to know that, right? Because would I have shelled out another $200 for this after I foobarred the other one? I don't. If I believed I was never going to be able to do some of those things, I don't know. It would affect my decision. So.
I don't know if anybody's gone shopping for these kind of things, you know. Well, shopping online is pretty easy to do, but at Best Buy in Castleton yesterday, I was impressed with the number of choices for these kind of devices that they have, you know, on display and in stock and stuff. And I think they had one from LG, and they had the Samsung watch and stuff. Some of the newer stuff really looks aesthetically really cool.
I know there are a couple companies that are, and I thought this was going to be the case, that are actually starting to talk about how to make these things like jewelry, right? Make them accessories, make them, you know, make them in many colors so that they're appealing in other ways, and to other people besides the QS crowd and the data geeks.
Have you seen the newer Samsung one? They have them over at the Best Buy, and it's actually fairly narrow. It's about the width of the band that you have there, and then it goes, and it's not too tall up, but it's an OLED, it's color and everything.
Oh, it's a smart watch though, right? It's doing things like getting your...
Yeah, it's talking to the phone and everything too.
Yeah,
but it's doing
temperature.
health things
What's
too.
it tracking?
What?
What's it tracking?
I think it's not doing the galvanic stuff and everything. It's mostly Fitbit.
Is it tracking motion though, specifically?
I think it's tracking
I thought it
motion.
was more about, you know, emails, texts, and...
I think there's the
interfacing
motion
with
too.
your
I think it was
smartphone.
part of that health thing that they announced,
Okay.
you know, a month ago or something. But it actually works. I mean, they had their first Samsung one, which it was big and bulky like that.
Mhm.
And I don't think anyone bought it. And this one actually second try looks better. But I suspect that these things are going to improve significantly.
Yeah, I mean,
Market
we're still
pressure.
very early, and there's gonna be a lot more. Fitbit's gonna be bought by someone, I think. I don't know that they have enough that's unique. I mean, right now their unique is that they integrate with everything, I think, and they're reliable and reasonably priced, but I just
Fairly
wonder,
well known too.
what's
Yeah,
that?
that's
I said they're
true.
fairly well known.
They are, right.
It's a brand name.
Right, they've
Probably
got
done it
the-
for.
Yeah, they've
Yeah.
got, I think, biggest market share. I think Basis has a 7% market share as of March, so still not a huge slice, but
Is it known what the Apple Watch will be? Will it have sensors?
well, they still haven't announced the Apple Watch, have
Yeah.
they?
I
No.
just thought I read something the other day about it.
People keep
Well,
getting
Well,
for
they
it,
announced the new operating system,
They
right?
did-
It's
Yeah, they
gonna-
announced the new operating system, they announced the new APIs for tracking all this QS stuff, but they haven't said exactly what the watch will track, but it's supposed to be out in the fall.
Well, but they haven't even said that, right? I mean, it's all rumor.
Well,
Apple
that's
hasn't
when
said-
all the new stuff, the new
Yeah.
APIs and everything are gonna be available in the fall, so you figure if their health kit APIs are gonna
Here's
be
this
available in the
API.
fall. What?
Here's this
Useless
API.
API, yeah, exactly. So it probably means the watch will come out in the fall too. so.
Probably. But I think we would talk about Apple's gonna produce a large screen TV for the past 2
Yeah,
or 3 years
yeah,
too, and that's
they-
never happened.
They do things when they just wanna do it,
Yeah.
not on anyone else's schedule, so.
Go home, Apple, you're drunk.
So do you find that, you know, whether Fitbit or Basis or whatever, maybe just the quantified self stuff in general, do you find that it has helped you change your habits to where you are getting your 10,000 steps a day, kind of thing?
Yeah, so so this is my philosophy on it. I think it's given me tools that let me decide how to take what I am good at in other parts of my life and translate it and track it. So what I mean by that is I don't think that it's the sole reason, but it's because I'm a little bit of a nerdy guy, a little bit of a techie geeky guy, because I can sort of figure out a way to blend these things together into what motivates me. It's been helpful in that way. Being a part of this group has been helpful in that way. Talking to people at work for the last 2 or 3 years has been helpful. Joining the MDVIP concierge doctor program and getting deep biomarker has helped in a way. So I view it as part of my right now, I can't live without it. I wouldn't say that I'm completely dependent on it or it's necessary, but it's certainly
Can't live with that.
certainly something that I really choose to use. And I found that it's like anything else. I was wearing a Fitbit for the last 3 years, pretty much, or whenever it came out first, and really rarely was hitting anything. And I even started wearing the bases before I got very serious. And then at some point, something clicked for me to start being more aggressive about managing my overall health. And in the context of doing that, I realized I could use these tools. And now I will create my leaderboard in Fitbit. Now I will start, I'm on the treadmill pretty regularly at 10 at night if I don't have my steps, and I'm doing that. And I've got to catch up on every Girls episode and, stuff like that, right? With
Now-
HBO Go, Products through Chromecast. So for me, it's all about how you kind of design your life based on what your interests are to achieve certain goals. And in this case, it's working for me around health.
I'm gonna credit our kick-ass Tim Ferriss presentation to being
That has
the
helped.
tipping point.
And
for
that's been a big help. It's been a huge help. And so it's a big part. It's helped, but I feel it's for me it's been more a way to sustain and track versus sort of I had these things for a while before I started using them. Right. That's what I would say. I still had to sort of make it all work for me in a holistic.
I wonder if that's a pattern, or, there's gotta be some interesting patterns that.
Yeah. I think it's different for different people. I think some people love to join a diet plan. They love to join a diet plan and follow that diet plan, and that's what they're going to do, and that's this whole thing, for example. But I think other people, they're wired differently, right? They want to do something unique. They want to do a ton of research. They want to do what you're doing, or they're wired differently to make changes. And so I think it's really pretty personal. I think it's about sort of hacking your own psyche, if you will, to understand really how you can leverage your motivation, your skills, your interests to make things work. That's true, but that's what I believe.
Thanks, Jerry.
Sure.